Do you remember a few years ago when Michael Richards said something, and then Granit Xhaka backed up an interview as well? They said whenever Arsenal do something, everyone has to lump in and just talk about it. Everyone feels the need to comment. And more recently, we've seen things like the over-celebrating. Do you remember that? Do you remember everyone sort of complained about our celebrations after some really good wins? We then had things like the second yellow cards for Trossard and Rice being justified. We then had things like our style of play being called into question, even though we scored the most goals in the Premier League last season that we've ever scored in a single league campaign. And now this season people are complaining about our set pieces. Now some people are doing it quite jokingly, but some genuinely mean it. And there's lots of stats and evidence out there that I'm going to bring to you today to show you that what Arsenal are doing is brilliant from set pieces, but that B, this is the norm for the best clubs in the world. I'm going to prove it all to you. I'm going to try and make some of these comments and arguments that people are putting forward, I'm going to try and make them look a bit stupid if I'm honest. But look, everyone's got an opinion, everyone's right to an opinion. I just strongly disagree with a lot of them. Now it starts with Obi Mikel, who on the 8th of November had this to say. He said, to make set pieces your weapon, for me you should by now have a system for how you score goals and not just by set pieces. He then says that this is illegal. For me those goals should not stand. What they're doing to the goalkeeper is illegal. I don't think that should stand because those players have no intention of playing the ball. He's talking about the off-ball antics that Arsenal players do. We saw Timber, for example, do it to Paqueta the other day at West Ham, and other moments like that where we saw Ben White with the car and the goalkeeper glove incident. He's talking about those kind of incidents on his podcast, I believe, the Obi-Wan podcast. Go check it out. And look, he's entitled to his opinion, and Obi Mikel is a player who had tremendous success in the Premier League, and when he speaks, we should listen. But I do have to disagree with quite a bit of what he's saying. The first point about it being our only weapon, well, I'd like to show you this. The 2024 league table shows that Arsenal have won the joint most amount of games in this calendar year, losing the least of any team in the Premier League, scoring 82 goals the most, conceding 23 the least in a calendar year. So I feel like Arsenal on the right side of quite a lot of that key data. I wish it led to a Premier League title. It hasn't. Will it this season? We'll find out. A lot of work to do. But in a calendar year, Arsenal have been pretty tremendous. I think to say that it's our only weapon is a little bit disingenuous. I also don't agree with this idea that what we're doing from set pieces in the box is illegal, because I think the PGMOL set a standard when they defended this decision, which was Joe Linton with two hands in the back of Gabriel's head. Everyone's saying Gabriel should have been stronger. The Newcastle goal was allowed. Quite frankly, we're using our bodies and throwing our weight around a little bit in the penalty area too. And I'm quite glad it's not being punished because, like I said, I felt the standard was set then. Someone else who wasn't too happy was Gary Neville. They did a watch along on the overlap, which had lots of entertaining clips out of it, I must say. And look, what I will say is when a clip goes viral, I don't think you can take that as, don't run with it as a sort of clear opinion of what they think of things. But Gary Neville was describing Arsenal's second goal as shit, I think he said, was basically saying that it was just a kind of looped ball into the box. I'm paraphrasing. And look, like I said, it was just a clip that did the rounds. For all I know, he's maybe defending, so he's more, actually probably more being annoyed at Man United's defending in that situation as opposed to sort of saying what Arsenal did wasn't particularly good. But I don't think at any point that we can sort of discredit what Arsenal's set pieces are doing, whether it's just a lofted ball into the box or whether it's a whipped ball to the near post, whatever it is. Clearly Nicolas Jover and Arsenal have worked on it, and I'm going to prove to you in this video why I believe that. And social media has gone mad with it. Everyone's clipping that up. Some people are agreeing, some people are saying that we're Stoke FC, and to be honest, I know it's designed to generate a reaction out of me and poke at me, but I also think some people are coming with genuine analysis around this, and it really frustrates me. So I'm just out and about. Sorry to cut the video, but I have to jump in with this too. So I've just chatted about Gary Neville and what you have to say about the set piece, the goal we scored. He's also, I didn't realise this, he's branded Nicolas Jover the most annoying bloke in football, which feels extremely harsh for a guy who's just doing his job, and by the way, clearly doing it very, very well. He said that on the watch-along he did for the Arsenal United game, clearly disappointed that Arsenal, were having real success with the set pieces. And if you ask me, that's a piece of really biased commentary from Gary Neville, because I'm not really sure what Nicolas Jover is doing other than moving out to the touchline when his team have a set piece, doing his job. Mikel Arteta was asked about this in the press conference, and he basically said, we take it as a compliment, and that is the way to do it. Take it as a compliment, because if you're annoying people, especially when you're winning in football, then you're probably doing a good thing. But yeah, Clearly Neville's got a problem with it too. There's another one. So let's go to some of my analysis around the situation. Here we've got the Premier League goals from set pieces since Nicolas Jover arrived in the summer of 2021. And what I've done, I've broken this down into two columns. We've got from when he arrived in the summer 2021 to the end of the last Premier League campaign, the last full Premier League campaign, and I've also got the tally for this season's for the Big Six, as you can see, with Manchester City, Liverpool and Arsenal all on 51 goals scored from set pieces, according to who scored in the Premier League since the summer of 2021, up to last summer. And Chelsea, Man United and Tottenham linger quite a way behind on 35, 28 and 21 as the next best tallies. And you think, well, I know Arsenal haven't won the title, and I know that a lot of sort of keyboard warriors are going to be in the comments reminding me of this. But the three teams that have won the title or pushed the winners of the title, because City have won every title since then, they're the ones that have been scoring lots from set pieces. So quite frankly, I'd rather be in that company. I'd rather be in the company of Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp, one of the greatest Premier League sides we've ever seen, and Manchester City, who quite frankly, nothing needs to be said about how tremendous they've been over the last few years. But I'm meant to sort of be apologetic because Arsenal have turned to set pieces on quite a few occasions to bail them out at times. It's just, there's no logic there for me. Now, as we can see this season, Arsenal lead the way with 7 goals from set pieces. 2 of them came against Man United. But as we can see, Chelsea under Enzo Maresca, Man United themselves, they've got 5 goals, and Man City and Tottenham have put up 4 as well. Liverpool lagging behind a little bit with 2, but quite frankly, Van Dijk could have had 2 or 3 the other day against Man City. So, across the season, I think you're going to find Liverpool catch up with these numbers, and once again, it will be the 2 or 3 best teams in the Premier League, and Chelsea are in that conversation, that are getting goals from set pieces. Why? Because it is an important weapon to have for all the best teams in the country. Let's have a look at set piece reliance, because another thing that's been thrown at Arsenal, that we rely on set pieces more than other sides. Well, what we've got here is the big 6 as we did in the last graphic. But I've also included Villa, Everton and Bournemouth because they are 3 of the highest scoring teams from set pieces in the Premier League this campaign. Now, Liverpool, by far and away the least reliant, with 7% of their goals coming from set pieces, which you could say is very impressive that they're not having to turn to that kind of weapon this season like perhaps in the previous 3 or 4 seasons. But if I show you this, Mo Salah has been involved in 75% of Liverpool's goals in the Premier League this season. That's 21 goals and assists in 28 games, which in itself is unbelievable, may I say. What a player he is. I mean, I don't have to tell you, because I've said it in previous videos, that I think Mo Salah is the greatest, Premier League right winger of all time. But if you're questioning why our set pieces are sustainable, why is that not being questioned? I mean, what if Mo Salah picks up a suspension for a couple of games, an injury, a dip in form? Why are there not questions about Liverpool? Well, the reality is that every team has a go-to weapon. Every team has something that they can rely on a little bit more than others. For Man City, it was Rodri at times. For Liverpool, this season it's been Mo Salah. For Arsenal, it's been set pieces. The reality is that not the top teams aren't just going to be equally brilliant at every facet of the game. There are going to be certain things that they lead with. And this season, at the moment, on current form, it's set pieces for Arsenal. Why are people trying to bash us for it? Let's have a look at some of the others, because Arsenal at 25% are not the most reliant in the league, with Man United, who, ironically, their fans called us Stoke FC after beating them the other day, actually are more reliant, with 29% of their goals this season coming from set pieces. Aston Villa, with the great Unai Emery, who, if we criticise, people think that we're just being bitter and salty, and I like Emery a lot. I think he's doing a great job, with 27% of their goals scored from set pieces. Bournemouth, who play really good attacking football under Iraola with a really high press, they're at 24%, so almost a quarter of their goals as well, and Everton at 43% too. So again, it's just such a lazy narrative that's thrown at Arsenal, because let's just criticise anything they do. That's genuinely how I feel sometimes, that it's just like, and you know why? Because it gains this reaction, because I've now talked about it, and I've added to the conversation because I took the bait. I get it. But I just felt there's so much evidence that for those who aren't just trolling, and those who are actually trying to give us some genuine analysis and are really concerned about the set pieces, I just think they're missing the point absolutely entirely. Let's analyse why the set pieces are so good, because Arsenal have been incredibly innovative when it comes to them. I want to show you this. It's a screenshot from something I did on Tactical Insight on AFTV. And what I did is I sort of recreated or showed you the movement and the positioning of every set piece that Arsenal have scored this season in the Premier League and the Champions League. Haven't included, for example, Jesus against Preston. But you can see the variety here, from Declan Rice's whip ball to Marino in the Liverpool game. He could have had two exactly like that in that game against Liverpool. You've got Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka from both sides, finding Gabriel at the near post, in the middle of the goal, at the back post. We've had Thomas Partey on the end of them. We've had Timber at the near post against Man United. We've had Trossard late in the game against Leicester, and we've had Bukayo Saka put it straight into the back of the net against PSG. It's not that we're just doing one thing and no one can deal with it. There is a real variety to our goals, and even without Gabriel, who everyone says is the threat from set pieces, well, without him we still scored 2 against Man United and could easily have had 3 or 4. Arsenal and Nicolas Jover's work in this department has been absolutely scintillating, and it's not just... Is scintillating the word you'd use? I'm going to go with it, because it's not just corners and just whipping the ball into the box that we're good at. We have been so innovative with so many tactics, and it's not just from set pieces. For example, I can think of Ben White when he rolls that ball into Saka from the touchline in field. That's always been kind of a clever mechanic to our game that I've not seen many other clubs use. But a big one, if you're looking purely at set pieces, do you remember... I mean, actually, let me show you a little clip of it. How many times have we seen Ben White, for example, with a throw-in, when Ødegaard, Partey sort of rotating and movements, and then they'll just throw it down the touchline because Kai Havertz has made a run or Ødegaard's made a run, and suddenly we're behind the back four and we're running along the goal line. Arsenal have been really innovative with plenty of tactics, and it annoys me that we're not being quite given the credit that I think we deserve for it, and that Nicolas Jover's work is sort of just being put down to... yeah, well, you're just reliant on them. Yeah, well, you're playing for set pieces. There's so much more to it. And I think that Arsenal aren't getting the credit they really deserve. And some of the analysis has been really disappointing, in my opinion. Now, this came out from Martin Ziegler and plenty of other reporters too, that there is going to be an 8-second rule for goalkeepers to release the ball, or they will concede a corner. Lawmakers are impressed by the trial in the Premier League's under-21 competition. Well, let's see. That could benefit Arsenal, though we don't mind a little bit of time wasting ourselves. And I've got to say, I'm not sure I think Premier League players, the amount of football they're playing and the tough conditions that sometimes they can be in, I don't think they always need to be rushed to get the ball into play immediately. But interesting that goalkeepers are going to be rushed a little bit more, and Arsenal may win an extra corner or two, which at the moment is certainly benefiting our football. Everyone, I just wanted to... I don't know, bust some myths there and bring you some data and do some analysis on why actually from a set piece perspective Arsenal are doing brilliantly. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel right here as well, and go check out the Goonerverse podcast, which will be back next week. Apologies, Sharoy was ill this week. Bless you, I hope you're doing well and hope you are feeling better, my friend. Look forward to coming back with some guests on the channel, and yeah, the Goonerverse podcast will be back, but it's Fulham this weekend, and listen, we scored a set piece against them a couple of years ago. Let's hope we can find another one, because quite frankly, we're doing so well from them.